we're not getting good results from artificial intelligence. We just shouldn't be using it. It's so generic. What would normally take a week can now be done in 20 minutes, an hour. I genuinely believe that artificial intelligence will be the biggest conversation we have in our lifetime. My goal here is to get an understanding of where everyone's at when it comes to artificial intelligence, especially for your business. I would love to know, what are the things have you tried and you got stuck at as well, or you've seen someone else do it and you would like to replicate it for yourself? So this is a 3-part series primarily because there was so much to explain and I didn't know where everyone was at. Everyone was in different parts and different places in their AI journey. It feels like AI is new, but it isn't. I know a lot of us probably just been exposed to artificial intelligence over the last year and a half, maybe at the most. I genuinely believe that artificial intelligence will be the biggest conversation we have in our lifetime. And we all need to be part of the conversation. So to be part of any conversation, we need to be informed and have enough information to be useful in our conversation. So the more listening and the more understanding we have, the better we can contribute to a conversation. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI. Consider this podcast your digital compass for you, the business leader wanting to use artificial intelligence ethically and in alignment with your brand's identity to achieve your business goals. Leading and running a business in the world of AI is like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But this podcast and I are here to make that easy. Every episode is a masterclass in unlocking techniques for using AI as a business leader, founder, owner. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips, tricks, techniques, tactics today. What I'd love to cover is this big trick on how to really prompt properly. I'm going to give you a framework and I'm going to show you how to always get what you want when you're asking a large language model or an artificial intelligence to do a task. I'm going to teach you a technique called chain of thought prompting. And it's a really important technique because you have to understand how large language models or artificial intelligence, when it comes to generative AI, how do they think? And when you understand how AIs think, you can use certain techniques to really get good results from how you're prompting. I'm going to cover a tactic on how to ideate business goals with AI at speed and how to execute and strategize and set them. It's really powerful. What would normally take a week can now be done in 20 minutes, an hour, depending on how rigorous you want to get. I've got a couple of tips for you, ethical parameters, how to learn anything with AI at speed. I'll show you how that has all come about and how that goes into an AI to give very good results. And I'm going to show you 3 cool tools that you can use right away. And I'll show you some of the little nuances that each of the tools have so you can actually use them to its full potential. Let's start with some problems and how to fix them. The biggest problems that most of us have when it comes to artificial intelligence is the lack of expertise. AI is moving so fast. There are so many tools, resources, and every second person is an AI expert, just like how every second person who had a Facebook account was a social media expert. Just like when someone started a podcast, they became a podcast expert. It happens all the time. But important to solve this problem of lack of expertise is for you and for us to focus on the process or process, depending on which part of the world you come from. First, focus on the process and then use AI to improve the outcomes of that process. So rather than focus on these AI tools and the lack of expertise, focus on what you can do and what you've been doing right all this while, and then inject artificial intelligence to improve that process. That's where you start. The second problem is there's a cost to implement. I'm not talking about dollars. I'm talking about time. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about, obviously, money. I'm talking about people who you have to pay. And as a result of the cost to implement, we don't see any growth in revenue or audience or operations or brand. And as a result, this cost blows out. It looks like a great magic trick, but it doesn't actually do anything for the business. So again, the most important thing to do is to follow a proven process, whether it is someone who knows how to help you grow revenue, audience, operations, and brand using artificial intelligence, or what you do currently and injecting artificial intelligence into that. So the process is everything. And the final big major problem, I hear this a lot at least, is we're not getting good results, Ronsley, from artificial intelligence. It's just not like, we just shouldn't be using it. It's so generic. And the reason for that is it's bad data, it's bad context, bad input, bad prompting. And the simple thing to do is to learn how to responsibly use artificial intelligence. Learn the ethics behind it, learn the prompting, and understand context. And if you can understand those three elements, then a lot of this is going to be way, way easier. One of the major things I would love to highlight here that is really important is the value alignment problem. And the value alignment problem is the difficulty that we have in specifying the objective completely and correctly when we try to express it to someone else. So if we want to achieve something, we have this idea in our head and we expect everyone else to understand what that idea is. And there's an alignment in value from what we perceive we want the objective to be to how we communicate we want the objective to be completed. So there's this big gap between how we express ourselves. And that's the reason usually why we're not getting the results that we want. Whether it is that we employ a new team member and they're not doing what we want, it's primarily because they don't exactly know everything that we have in our heads. The same with AI, it doesn't have the context to be able to help get exactly what you're after. And that's one of the main reasons we don't get the results when we're trying it. So chain of thought and recursion is absolutely key. And as a result of recursion and chain of thought, I want to really specify here that super prompts don't work. It is just a waste of time, waste of energy, because recursion is what makes the output better. The first mistake we make is just the lack of strategy. When it comes to artificial intelligence, we're just kind of looking for the tool. Hey, this tool can do this, tool can do that. Let me find all the tools that I can get and put into my locker. But then you'll just have a whole bunch of subscriptions and no real strategy and no way to actually get the result that you're looking for. The second mistake is that we ignore ethical considerations. Now, this is really important because when you see and hear about how people are talking about artificial intelligence, they're only saying about how you shouldn't get left behind. Having ethics when we're applying artificial intelligence is really important. So making sure that we don't have a brand where we say we care about our team and we really care about the people that work for us, but as soon as we implement artificial intelligence, we're going to fire a whole bunch of them. That is a misalignment in brand, and it's an ethical misalignment as well. So we want to avoid that. The third mistake is inadequate training. The biggest impact that you can have is getting your team to use AI and do that effectively, because that will just exponentially increase how you use it. Mistake number 4 is underestimating what AI can do. The expectations of AI is really important. I hear a lot about how AI is not good at math. AI is not supposed to be good at math, especially large language models. They're based on language. And if it gives you the right answer, it's only giving you the right answer because it's seen 2 + 2 = 4 somewhere else, and it's using that as inference. It's not actually doing the calculation when you're asking AI of it. It's not a calculator. It's not a program. So asking it to do those things is unrealistic. Expectations need to be aligned here. And the final one is like forgetting about your brand, failing to consider your identity of your brand and how the look and feel and voice and how people are going to perceive what you do when it comes to AI. The first tactic that I would love to be able to get into is setting business goals. Now, I repeated in the first section how important process is. And when it comes to setting business goals, that is no different. So the best way, in my opinion, to set business goals is using this method here, where we first begin with a SWOT analysis, and then we use that SWOT analysis to determine what our objectives and key results are. And then based on the objectives and key results, we determine what our regular recurring reps are. The SWOT analysis becomes very important because we want to start our objectives and key results from a place of foundation. So when you say, these are my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats for my business right now, and my goal for the next year is whatever, then it has a foundation to then apply the OKR methodology onto your goal, if that makes sense. When you do a SWOT analysis, okay, my business does X, and you can say whatever that is. You can say, for me, for example, my business helps businesses and brands grow through artificial intelligence and podcasting. What does your business do? My business does X. We focus on Y audience. So who is your audience? My audience are business owners and leaders. And we deliver a transformation. So what is a transformation that you deliver to that audience? So what does your business do? Who's the audience it focuses on? And what transformation do you deliver? If you are not already using ChatGPT, then I highly recommend you do, primarily because they keep innovating extremely well. Obviously, there are different types of AIs that you can use, but ChatGPT is obviously front and center and is way ahead of the curve. I have copied this from the chat. My business helps brick and mortar local businesses understand how to use and leverage social media to connect with their community and grow their business. So what I'm going to say here is, please perform SWOT analysis on my business. Once you're done, find ways to convert the weaknesses into strengths and the threat into opportunities. Use this as your starting point. Now, I'm going to show you how this runs without the chain of prompting technique, okay? So this is just a plain me saying, hey, run this SWOT analysis, and it'll do exactly, perform the analysis, and once it's done, it'll convert the weaknesses into strengths and the threats into opportunities. That is primarily because you cannot ask any AI, any large language model, to think for itself without the output. It has to output the thinking for it to use that thinking in the following prompt. So you really need for it to output it so that it understands that before it uses that in the following context. You notice here, it says expertise in AI and podcasting, established reputation. Why is it doing that when I said my business helps brick and mortar local businesses? So I'm going to show you this really cool trick. If you go up the top and you come here to customize ChatGPT, what you'll notice is these two fields. And these two fields are very important. In the first part, you're telling ChatGPT how to improve and how to make the responses better. And the second part, you're saying, this is what I'd like you to know on how or who I am. And then this is how I'd like you to respond. Use that as context in here and run this, which is entirely wrong, right? So we want to change that. Now I'm going to go back into here and I'm going to say disable this. So disabled, save. And now I'll copy this prompt again, and I'm going to say new chat. And now I'm going to give the same response. See, despite that, it's still going analysis for Ronsley's business. Now let me show you where that is coming from. See, in personalization, it's got memory is on. So if I go into manage and see the memory, it's keeping track of what my podcast is, who I am, a whole bunch of what I'm up to. Now, this is without any other context. This is plain ChatGPT based on this response. I want to show you something else. There's the same prompt, but I'm going to add this one line. This one line is a technique called chain of thought prompting. What it does is it allows the artificial intelligence large language model to do this in steps and to use each of the steps and the learning from the steps to produce a better result. So it'll do the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, you see, what I want you to really see here is how it has kind of assumed expertise in social media, the local focus, growing market demand, educational approach. Now, this context can be improved, but based on that, it's done a brilliant strength SWOT analysis. So strengths, weaknesses, the limited brand awareness, resource constraints, dependence on local market, the opportunities and the threats. And then it's gone, these are how we convert all the weaknesses into strengths. The solution for limited brand awareness is invest in branding and marketing efforts. And then it's done for each one of the following. So what I'd love to do from here is say, based on this SWOT analysis, please write my OKRs for my 1-year goal of signing 5 new clients a month for the next 12 months. So what we've done is we've used this section here, the SWOT analysis. We've got a foundation, and then we've gone, my goal for the next year is this. Can you give me the objectives and key results from that? What I'm doing is I'm saying, based on the SWOT analysis, I would love for you to do my objectives and key results for the next year goal of signing. Now I'm making this up, obviously, but it could be whatever your goal is. It's kind of use the SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and your goal for the next year to determine what your objectives should be. And based on those objectives, these are the key results. If I was you, I would say, there are 2 objectives. Can you please reduce these to only objectives for me to get? Notice what I'm doing. I am having this recursive conversation, and I'm improving my results with every piece of more context that I'm giving it. Don't ever expect to get the output you're looking for in the first try. So it's reduced that to 3 objectives and key results. And then following this, what I'm going to say is, okay, now please tell me what my regular recurring tasks are. These are the tasks I have to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly to achieve my 1-year goal. Use this conversation for context. So you see how now, in a matter of less than 10 minutes, you went from having a SWOT analysis from something as simple as who you are and what you do and who you help, and then said this is the goal for the next year, and it broke it down into objectives and key results, and then it broke it down further into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly tasks. Now, I would love for you to tell me how long this would have potentially taken if you had to do this on your own. And not only on your own, how long would it have taken if this was part of a bigger group? Like if you had a bigger team, there's so many elements here that can be, like, it's so quick to have done that. But the problem with realigning the goals is there's so much of effort that goes into doing it that it's so much work that we don't do it. So now you can use AI to get that done. So I'm going to show you another trick on how to prompt for artificial intelligence. This is called the creator prompt framework. And ideally, you would like to include all 7 of these, but the main one you have to have is the result. And then you can add each one of these for better context. Number 2 is the result. What is the ultimate goal of the prompt that you're putting in? The first is character. So what is the person or entity that you want the AI to behave as? Then result is what is the ultimate goal that you want to achieve. E is what is the essential information that the AI or the person acting on the prompt, like, so if you assume that the character is the person, what essential information do they need to complete the task? So that's E. Then A is what is the specific approach? Like, what is the process? Like, if you know that this step should be performed in this order, then what is that order? Let it know that you want it to be done in a certain manner. Number 5 is the tailoring. Then you can give it even more context and additional information to fine-tune what you're after, because you've given it the essential information and the approach, and then you can tailor it and give it better. Number 6 is the output. How do you want it to return the intelligence after it's done thinking? How would you like that to come out? Do you want it in a table form? Do you want it in Markdown? Do you want it in HTML? Do you want it in simple text? How do you would like it to come out? And the final one is, who is the person that will be consuming the final output? So accordingly, with those 7 pieces of input, the AI knows exactly what you're after. And you will not be in a position where it gives you generic output. This is an example of me wanting a template for my podcast episodes when they go live to send an email to my podcast guests. So I want it to act like my personal assistant. I want it to, the result is write me a template email for my podcast guests, informing them that the episode is live. The essential information that it needs is the episode number, the date when it goes live, the topics covered, and if there are any assets that I'm going to give them so that they can easily promote the episode. The approach I want is I want it to first highlight their genius. I want it to thank them, mention something unique about the episode, and also ask them to share it with their audience. I would love it to be memorable, and I would also want to make sure that it creates a conversation of up and down between me and the guest. I want the output to be in my voice style, and I want it to be the recipient is the podcast guest that has appeared on my podcast. Now, the technique to layer onto that is recursion, which I showed you, is chain of thought. So saying, once you finish the prompt and you write the prompt using the creator method, you say, now think of this through step by step. And you're creating a chain of thought prompting methodology that will help I do this in a step by step method. But not only that, you can then take the output and then use it as the input for your next prompt. And that is called a recursive method of using artificial intelligence. And it actually helps. And you just saw me do that with the business goals. There's a tip that is really useful, especially for business owners right now. There are these 5 ethical parameters that you should look at when you're using artificial intelligence or looking to use it for your business. The first is that you should make sure that it's goal-oriented and it's process-driven. You can notice how much process is such an important part. You don't want the artificial intelligence to make up the process. Number 2 is you want artificial intelligence to reduce the human cognitive load of your team, of your people, of yourself. And that is a really important ethical parameter to consider. It's not just to grow revenue or to do any of that. It's more importantly to reduce the brain power that humans have to use to achieve a task. Third is it definitely has to solve meaningful problems. Fourth, the AI should be transparent, diverse, and unbiased. What I mean by that is if you're using people's data into your artificial intelligence, you should let them know. It should be transparent. That's how you're using it. Don't just randomly use data for the sake of using data, because that is not ethical at all. And finally, when you're using artificial intelligence, you got to make sure that it doesn't create anything out of the ordinary. It should keep homeostasis, and it should be symbiotic. It should not eat up something else and not be a parasite in any form. So keep those 5 ethical parameters in mind when you're using artificial intelligence. All of you have access to the Learn Anything at Speed, but I'll show you the framework that I use to create that. There's a great book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Chef. In that book, he uses these 2 frameworks, the DISC framework and the CAFE framework, to learn any skill. And using this method, I created an AI. Now, in here, you can put anything. I want to learn to sell on a webinar in the next 30 minutes. And it'll use that framework, break down the skill in that time frame, and then find out what is the 80-20 and how to learn it. So this is the order of sequencing. So you can use this for any skill that you want to learn. That goes for artificial intelligence, that goes for anything. So that is how to learn anything. I showed you how to use ChatGPT. So Groq and Claude. Now, the reason I'm going to show you these is because these are tools. It's not just ChatGPT. It is like there are all these different AIs that do amazing things. Now, why is this different? Claude, which is using Claude 3, has a context size of 200,000 tokens, which means that it remembers 200,000 tokens when it's giving a response. So I can potentially upload an entire manuscript. This is the manuscript. It's about, 55,000 words, I would say. And I will say here, you read and summarize this. Because of its large context size, we'll read the whole document properly and give me the summary. If I put this into ChatGPT, because ChatGPT and GPT-4 size is only 32,000 tokens, it's not that large, it'll only remember the last 20,000 words when it's doing anything. And that's why Claude becomes very useful when it comes to large context sizes. And as we're seeing this, Claude is a really important type of artificial intelligence that can be used for different things. There's another one which is free, and it's called Groq with a Q.com. And the reason this is so powerful is it's fast. It uses LPUs as opposed to GPUs. And I'll show you how fast that is. Run analysis, just run the same prompt in Groq. It's so fast that I can't even read. And it's free, and you can choose different models from here. So the Gemma model, the Llama 3 model, these are all open source models, and you don't have to pay for them. So Groq.com, Claude.ai, and ChatGPT.com is the places you go for all of that. Finally, if you're here for the 6-week intensive, I'm going to show you all the cool things. Because it's artificial intelligence, you get to implement it straight away. It's not only learning, it is executing at speed. How to be competitive in your industry, how to stand out, how to be empathetic with your services. That's week 1. How to boost productivity and automate tasks and learn faster in week 2. Week 3 is all about leads and selling and making sure that you can complete the whole cycle of getting a lead to prospect to client. And that's all using AI, how to personalize sales conversations, creating lead landing pages at speed, personalized for your business. Week 4 is all about maximizing your reach and using content to be the attractor and how to repurpose content. They've got so many cool things for you there. Week 5 is all around enhancing your current customer experience and how to make it personal for them to actually get the results. Because a lot of the times we say that, oh, our method only applies to this person. With AI, that's not the case. This method can be applied to almost everyone as long as it is personalized for them. And in week 6, we're going to improve efficiency and productivity by streamlining processes with AI and how to have all your SOPs done and create this really cohesive standard operating procedure structure that allows you to get repeated results. And yeah, use AI, and I'll see you next time. Much love.
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.